Hi, it's Sansaray here. Welcome back. I appreciate you watching my videos. Make sure you give this a big thumbs up. Today's true crime video is about Tiana Notice. This is Tiana Notice. She was beautiful, she could light up a room, she was kind, loving, had a great sense of humor, and was always trying to do the right thing. She was from Plainsville, Connecticut, and was also a child prodigy. She graduated from the University of Hartford. She had a bachelor's degree in government and politics. She got along with her co-workers. She was just an amazing person. Her family loved her. Her friends loved her. She was basically raised right. She was 25 in 2009, but when she was 6 years old, her parents realized that she was super smart. She was 2 grades ahead. She actually finished her last year of high school while simultaneously starting her first year in college. She basically excelled in everything. In 2009, she was studying to get her master's degree. Tiana knew that she wanted to be a lawyer, she wanted to make change, she wanted to do so much for underprivileged people. She was basically putting her energy into stopping injustice. She had all these amazing things going for her, but what she didn't have was someone to call her own, basically. So she went on to an online dating site to try to find love, and she ran into this guy named James Carter. James Carter was charismatic, he was as funny as she was, he had a kind heart, and he liked doing things for others. Women were always after him. He could basically get any type of woman he wanted because he had like this amazing personality. When James's brother found out that James was dating Tiana, he was surprised because Tiana was nothing like any of the other women he had dated. His brother was surprised because James was known for dating crazy women, and Tiana seemed normal, and everyone was happy for James because he had finally got somebody who was normal. James was an executive at an insurance company. He was a great provider, he had a stable life. He was smooth, good looking, responsible, and he was a homeowner. He was just a very well-rounded guy, and Tiana felt like he was good for her. Tiana was Christian and she used to sing at church, and James would come to this church to actually see her sing. James was raised in the Catholic church. One day he happened to see Tiana needed 4 tires for her car, so he went and bought her 4 new tires for her car. Tiana was working part-time and was a student. Like I said, she was trying to get her master's, and so she was saying to him, like, it's way too expensive for me to go out here and get tires on my own. So James went ahead and bought them for her. Now, as they continued to date, Tiana started to notice that James was a little jealous because Tiana always had so many friends around her. Her sister said that he always wanted her around him and no one else. 3 months into the relationship, James decided he wants to tell a secret. And his secret is along the lines of, hey, I'm going to jail basically because, you know, my vindictive ex said I assaulted her, so I tried to beat this case and it didn't work, so now I have to go to jail for 5 months. And Tiana is basically clutching her invisible pearls. She's trying to figure out why did he decide after they've been dating all of this time to tell her something like this. She was shocked and appalled. It made her question what type of man was she really dealing with. She wanted to see the good in him, and according to Tiana's family and friends, Tiana was always good about seeing the good in people. He asked her to wait for him, and she kind of agreed to waiting for him. But then once he went to jail, she continued on with her life as if there was no relationship between the two of them. She was moving on. According to her sister and her friends, she was the type of woman that was going to bounce back. Like, she wasn't going to be the person that sits there and mopes that her boyfriend just went to jail for 5 months. She just moved on with her life and started dating other guys. Meanwhile, James is kind of figuring this out because he's calling from jail and he isn't getting Tiana on the line as often as he would like to. He thought because he had previously provided for her that she was going to just follow him around like some hopeless puppy. But we're talking about a strong-minded, strong-willed woman here. She was like, whoa, you know, being slapped in the face that your boyfriend is going to jail for assaulting a woman in a previous relationship, it kind of throws you back a little bit and you're like, do I really want to be with this man? So I think when he was spending time in jail, it kind of occurred to her that maybe he was somebody that she shouldn't be dating. So while James was in jail, Tiana started talking back to her ex-boyfriend, whom she had a lot in common with because they both had went to Hartford, they both had the choir and the band that they did together. He had basically just left town to go fix his life because because he had a bout of depression. So here he was coming back after he took some time alone to try to iron out his situation. He just needed some time to himself to pull it together. But all their friends and family knew that eventually they were going to get back together. That's just everybody's assumption of the two of them. They were such an amazing couple. So 5 months goes by, James is released from jail. And Tiana was supposed to pick him up, but never showed up. When he confronted her, she officially broke things off with him. Just told him, listen, this is not working for me. I don't want to have anything to do with this relationship. This is not the guy that you showed me you were in the beginning, and I don't think that I want to continue to date you. I just want to move on. Everybody knew that he was hurt. I mean, everyone was saying, you know, James was hurt. His brother said he was hurt. He loved Tiana so much. He wanted to be with her, and she just was not having it. During this argument, he grabbed her on her arm, like forcefully, and it just shocked her. It made her not want to deal with him even more. He was nothing like who he portrayed himself to be initially. So Tiana and Robert, they start hanging around each other, you know, getting back together, trying to, you know, nurture their relationship. And Robert knows that something's going on with Tiana. My son, I'm gonna need for you to be quiet so I can do this. Tiana has this feeling that James is always following her. James has started popping up in places he wasn't supposed to. School, work. When she would go shopping, to the grocery store, he would just show up. She had asked James to stop contacting her, and he absolutely refused. Like no meant yes. So Robert asked Tiana, did she need him to handle it? And she just wanted him to stay out of it because it was already a messy situation. She didn't want to make it any more of a mess. It was that bad. Like, James was like really on her. One night he called her repetitively from 8 p.m. all the way through the night till 8 a.m. He was telling her he loved her, he wanted her back. But Tiana had made up in her mind. She basically saw like the crazy sign. It was a neon crazy sign going on and off, and she just knew and just wanted to stay away from him. Soon she started getting emails, threatening ones. Someone was harassing her online by the name of Jessica Banderas. And she was supposedly James' new girlfriend. She sent a picture of herself and everything. She was real volatile, and she was telling Tiana, you know, I'm gonna need for you to leave my man alone. And Tiana's like, I don't even want your man, basically. Like, I don't understand why you think I want your man. Like, why are you contacting me? I want nothing to do with him, basically. This really scared her. Tiana had went to the police, and the police didn't even believe her. They didn't believe that he was following her around and she was getting these emails. They didn't believe her. They thought that it was a regular like relationship quarrel that with time would just go away. You know, sometimes things work themselves out with time. You know, sometimes things work themselves out, and they were assuming that that was this type of situation. They deal with it so regularly and so routinely that they thought that this situation was identical to all of the other situations that they have of people coming to the police station saying, oh, my ex did this or my boyfriend did that. And then she went ahead and filed a restraining order. And her mom and dad and all of her friends remember her crying so hard about this situation. She was terrified. He was scaring her, seriously. He was scaring her so bad that she went to the police station 33 times in a 6-week period. 33? Like, listen, had she got to 15 or 20, me as a police officer would have been like, okay, this woman keeps coming back. Something can't be right. So after she filed the restraining order, this coconut decides that he wants to file a restraining order too. He told the police that she was basically assaulting him, punching him in the face, and that she had kicked out his taillights in his car. It was just beginning to be too much, and it was wearing down on Tiana. She was very afraid. She was just afraid for her life, and of course she should be. So Robert and Tiana took a break. Robert went down to Virginia to finish college, you know, and after college he was going to decide to come back to Connecticut to be with Tiana. But while he was in Virginia, he and Tiana always spoke. They kept in touch, you know. One day she called Robert and told Robert, listen, James is really at it. He's really following me. He won't stop calling me. He's really just on me. He's everywhere I go. I don't know what to do. And Robert basically says to her, you know what? I think I need to handle this. I'm going to be there. Don't worry. And on Valentine's Day, I want you to make sure that you don't have anything planned because I have something planned for us, okay? And he reassures her that he will be there and he will handle this thing with James. She didn't only tell Robert this. She told her father, Alvin, this as well. So suddenly there's a knock on her door, and it's the police, and they ask her to step outside. She steps outside and James is standing there. He had basically told the police that she assaulted him and that she was holding his things hostage in her apartment. So the police allowed him to come into her apartment and get his things. So the relationship basically became this gossiping, he said, she said thing, to where the police didn't even know which side to pick because both of them were accusing each other of things. Man, that's how the crazy people do. I'm telling you, it's like you'll be telling on them and they'll go around and try to make it seem like you're doing it to them to fool people so they can continue to do this harassing and assaulting. That's domestic violence, regardless to whether it's verbal abuse or physical abuse. Usually an abuser will pretend like he's a victim or she's a victim. The police refused to take sides, okay? They refused because they didn't know who was telling the truth and who wasn't. Alvin, Tiana's father, said that she was never aggressive, but if she was put in a place to have to fight for herself, she would in a heartbeat. So Tiana did a background check on James and found out that he didn't have the job at the insurance company that he claimed he had. He was telling people that he was an executive at Aetna Insurance Company when really he was a limousine driver part-time. And the house that he seemingly owned wasn't his. It belonged to his parents and he was just living there. He also had 2 children that he failed to mention from his previous relationship. And the reason why he ended up going to jail to begin with is because he literally almost killed the last girl that he was with. Literally. He didn't have the master's degree like he said either. This man had basically created like this false persona that he would put on anytime Tiana was around, trying to pretend he was the man that she needed in her life. And every week after that, she just started learning new information about James. Every week it was something, it was some lie that was revealed. So Tiana went back to the police with this new information, and it's sad that she had to do all of this investigating herself without the police before they finally start taking it serious. So police did record checks to try to find this Jessica Banderas person because Tiana had said, hey, you know, I'm being harassed by James' new girlfriend, Jessica Banderas, and James is doing X, Y, and Z. Can you please look into this? And finally they do. And they come to find out that there is no such person as Jessica Banderas. So the picture that Jessica had been sending to Tiana was basically a picture that James had Googled off the internet, and he was sending her messages, threatening ones, pretending he was Jessica. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. These messages that he was sending her was just horrible. After severely being stalked by James and her tires had now been slashed, her dad was like, you know what, let's do this. Let's install cameras inside of your house and outside. I mean, if this guy is going through all of this to have a fictional character named Jessica emailing you, threatening you, something's not right in the head with this guy. So her dad role played. He showed her some self-defense moves so she could be okay. She basically said to her friend Anna that she wasn't going to let some man run her out of her house or out of state or get her to stop living the life that she wanted to live. Like I said, Tiana was a strong-willed, strong-minded person. So Tiana's apartment was on the back of her building, and the camera was faced towards the parking lot where all of the cars were parked. Which was a good idea because when I was looking at the surveillance video, it looked like behind her house was a parking lot and then some woods. So you never know who could jump out of nowhere just to attack you. So I'm glad that her father actually did that. Valentine's Day 2009, Robert was supposed to come from Virginia to Connecticut to see Tiana. But he called her last minute to let him know he wasn't going to make it because he had a bad case of the flu. Her father, Alvin, and her best friend, Anna, said that Robert was going to propose. He had been planning it for months. He had a ring and everything. One of the things that disappointed Tiana was that Robert wasn't going to be there to confront James. Tiana was very vocal about the experiences that she was having with James. She would tell everybody, you know, this guy is stalking me. This guy has slashed my tires. He's calling me. He's emailing me. He just won't leave me alone. He's following me everywhere. Everyone around her knew that this guy named James was stalking her. She let everybody know how uncomfortable she was, and he had been continuously literally stalking her. And so everyone around knew. James just kept contacting her and apologizing and letting him know that he loved her, that he didn't cheat on her because she believed that he had cheated on her. And it looks like he believed she cheated on him. So it was just like this relationship that just needed to be over. On Valentine's Day, he emailed her directly from his own email account, and the emails had a sense of desperation. They sounded suicidal. The day before that, Valentine's Day Eve, he actually wrote her a letter and put it on her door. Tiana and her father took the letter to the police station, and they had called Robert in to do a handwriting sample to see if that was actually him who wrote the letter. They thought they had him. They was like, okay, good, we got him. This is it. He gonna go to jail for this. Everyone told Tiana not to go back to her house, but on Valentine's Day, Tiana goes to her house to get a change of clothes. In the surveillance footage, you can see Tiana park her car and get out of her car to walk to her apartment door. When she spots James, she takes off running. You hear me? He had a kitchen knife in his hand, and you can hear her screaming, and she shoot past the camera, and he shoots past the camera chasing her, and he just starts stabbing her, and then he runs off. She fell to the ground and called 911, and she basically tells the operator that her ex-boyfriend has stabbed her to death. All of the screaming that she did, the neighbors heard and came out. As she's on the 911 call, you can hear her neighbors helping her.
I'm bleeding to death.
Where are you?
I'm bleeding to death.
Stay on the phone with me.
My ex-boyfriend just stabbed me to death.
Who's there with you? Who's there with you?
You're not gonna die. You're not gonna die.
And so Tiana ends up praying. She's praying the Lord's Prayer. She knows she's about to die. And that's so sad to me. Like, when I think about, she knew she was going to die, and she just started just saying the Lord's Prayer. Someone so smart can get entangled with the wrong guy. It happens to the best of us. I've done it. No judgment here. But us as women, we really have to be more selective about the men that we choose. He stabbed her 18 times, and 2 of those times were in her heart. The screams were captured on the surveillance. You can see her running on the surveillance and James running after her. And when her mother, Kathy Lewis, got to the hospital, she could tell by the looks on people's faces that Tiana didn't make it out.
We got to the hospital 4:15, and I saw the expression of the receptionist when we identified ourselves. And I saw the look on the surgeon, one of the surgeons that came out to tell us we're gonna find a place to meet. And they told me we did everything we could. We even did hand massage on her heart. But she had lost too much blood and we couldn't revive her, and she's gone. The world just disappeared. I couldn't grasp it in my soul. I went crazy. I went yelling, screaming. I tore up that room. I was on my knees, crying and pleading with God. I said, how could you allow this to happen, Lord? I was so angry at him. I said, I did what you told me to do. I raised her in your word. I raised a good kid. How could you allow this to happen? I was so mad. I was so mad.
After James had stabbed Tiana, he basically called his brother and told him, like, I just stabbed Tiana to death. And his brother was like, what? Like, for what? Like, it's nothing that serious in the world that would make you stab someone. You shouldn't be stabbing anybody. And his brother basically said he just knew that James had lost his mind. So James got charged with murder and violating a restraining order. He got 60 years in prison. So like I said at the beginning, Tiana wanted to fight for injustice, so she wanted to give support to underprivileged people. And so her father decided to start the Tiana Notice Foundation. They work with domestic violence victims where they put surveillance cameras inside and outside of their homes so they can have proof that they are experiencing domestic violence. He ended up getting the Connecticut Senator May Fletcher to help him. These types of things won't happen to domestic violence victims. The Connecticut Coalition of Domestic Violence also helps. And one of the things that they also ended up getting is a GPS monitoring system. So a victim can be alerted anytime a predator is in close proximity of them. I thought that was so impressive of her father to do something like that, and he's made so much change. Laws have been changed because of this man. And it may seem like Tiana may have died in vain. Tiana passing away has helped a lot of women, and I know that doesn't give any type of comfort to her family. My heart goes out to the family. It really does. I appreciate you watching. Put your comments in the comment section below, okay? Have vision and stay focused. Namaste.